Hi, I'm Jillian Smart.
And I'm Caleb Decius.
And welcome to South Florida Weekly. We're here downtown West Palm Beach on the waterfront, and it's a really, really lovely night outside tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful night, and we have a special topic we want to talk to you guys about. Hopefully, you know, I don't think it's too late. I feel like this issue will always be timely, or always be running current events. I'll let Jillian talk about it.
Well, I got my number one current event. Before I get all heavy, I got to be all light. You know that, right?
Okay, cool.
So, like, we're downtown, and there are probably a good 60 people walking around, maybe 100 people scattered around, something like that. And they're all young people, a few people like my age, but mostly people like his age.
Or younger.
or younger. And they're out here playing Pokemon Go. Oh my gosh, it's insane, guys. So, like, this is like the latest craze. Pokemon Go's been out for about a week now.
Yeah.
My son turned me on to it today. And it's insane. I'm downtown, and you have groups of people, like teams, battling to capture Pokemon all around Clematis Street. Pokemon is like everywhere around the globe. And yes, I downloaded the app, and my name is G-Rock. So when you guys see G-Rock on Pokemon Go, you know it's me. All right, so I had to get that out because I'm all excited about this game. I'm excited about the game.
Yo, and I think it's cool, man. You look around, and like she said, it is about roughly 30, 40 people behind us. Everyone's walking around playing the Pokemon, tuned into their phones, locked in. And honestly, I saw it start on Facebook at first, and I was like, what is this? You know, just watching everyone going crazy and talking about it. But it's cool to watch it live and out here and just watching everyone have a good time.
So you can get a group of your friends.
Yep.
Everybody download the app before they come home. Before they leave home, before they come home, before you leave home, download the app. Make sure your phone is fully charged. Somebody just told me turn down the volume, turn off everything else, and come out with your family and your friends and play Pokemon Go wherever you want to play. You could go in somebody's house, in somebody's neighborhood, downtown West Palm, downtown Miami, Los Olos, wherever you want to go. You can play Pokemon Go. It's real fun. And then go have a few, knock back a few afterwards.
It's gonna need it.
You might want to do that before, because it'll make the game more fun.
Right.
So, okay, so that was my light side of things today. And we do have more serious issues to talk about. So, in the past week, we've witnessed several events that has captured the attention of the world. And not just black people, not just white people, like everybody. People are just concerned about what's going on. Yeah. And we just have to talk about it. And I think, you know, everybody's got it in them to say something. So this is our release right here, right now, talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, talking about the shootings, the assassination of Alton Sterling and Philando Celestine, and also the assassination of the police officers. And I put all of them in the same context because they're all assassinations in my book. That's how I view it. You know, when people are doing things wrong, they're not really doing anything wrong, and they get killed, I call it an assassination. So that's my take on it. So you are the expert here.
I wouldn't say expert, but I think we both do a fair amount of research on this. And I think what matters is that there's going to be a lot of views, but what we need as black people is to come together and to start to strategize. And I'm seeing that a lot on Facebook. A lot of black people are wanting to come together and strategize. They want to come and just say, okay, enough is enough with the marching and the protesting. Yes, it works to a certain extent, but a lot of black people want to know, okay, now what's next? What can we really do to affect this change and to stop the senseless killings amongst African Americans from cops, predominantly white cops? And of course, we don't want a civilian war to start up where African Americans are out killing cops too. So I think that is the thing right now. What can we do? And what do you think? What's your...
Let's get to know the police chiefs in our community. Let's get to know the councilmen and councilwomen. Let's get to know our state representatives. Let's get to know our mayor. Don't be afraid to have a conversation to say, I want to meet with you. When can I meet with you? Or I have a group of people that live in my neighborhood and we just want to talk. No issues, we just want to talk to get to know you. Judges are real important because I think they set the tone based on the law, and they have a lot of leeway with that. A lot of that stuff is up to their own discretion. It's by the law, but it's also to their own discretion. So we need to get to know those people first. Once we get to know them, what can we do next?
Well, I think change needs to be done personally first. We can do all of that, and those are steps that we should take to go and lighten the load and kind of break down the elephant in the room and just kind of make everything a little more easier dialogue wise between civilians and the government. However, I think it needs to go a step further. What I always suggest on my Facebook page is that we need to do ample amount of research on ourselves, who we are, to understand the world government, to understand racism and white supremacy and what's really going on and how these agendas are trying to unfold. If a lot of you guys, if you're religious, if you're Christian, you can see, I see a lot of posts saying that these things are unfolding right in front of us. You just need to have an understanding of the world, so you don't live in fear first and foremost, and you just you start to act rather than react. I think it's time for us to, like she said, have that open dialogue. This isn't a white versus black thing. This is a civilian versus, not even versus, but this is a civilian and the government misunderstanding, and just a balance of power, a balance of whatever it is. And I think we all need to come together. And like she said, first and foremost, understand yourself, and then you can go out and have an open dialogue with the rest of the people.
I'm glad you raised that point, because I didn't even look at it that way. I didn't look at it like it's a civilian and let's call it the military, or let's call them the service providers. I think the police officers need to be reminded at some point that they are service providers to our community. They're not the military. This is not Iraq, Iran. We're not at war here, and that they don't need to engage in combat or combative moves and maneuvers when engaging with African American citizens. I think that's really important. They need to know that.
Right.
Well,
and some people might not like what I'm saying, but I think that the wave, the movement, the consciousness, just the positivity starts on both sides. Simply put, just learning how to respect authorities from our sides, from authority learning how to respect the civilians. There's a huge mistrust between civilians and authorities, and as long as that stays, that dialogue stays closed, then there'll be no type of progress. And we can't have cities and authorities going out and target practicing on black men at their target range. You can't, and I heard a story about that a few years ago where there's a city, I think it was in Miami, I'm not even gonna put them out like that, but they're target practicing on black men, like things like that we can't have. There has to be a neutral mindset within the whole United States. I mean, for God's sakes, that's what it's called. It's called the United States. Right.
Yeah.
So anybody can be at fault. That's how you should look at it as a police officer, and as a civilian, whether white, black, or Spanish, Chinese cop, you should look at them as authority. And once those barriers get broken, I think that's how we move. But I'm always going to say I'm an African man. We all live in the diaspora. This is CANEtv. You must know, and you must have thorough knowledge of yourself first before you can move on. I was just telling someone this. I can't walk into a Chinese community. I can't walk into a Spanish or in the European community and tell them how to run themselves or give them advice or tips, because that's something that they have to do internally.
Right.
You have to fix yourself from the inside, and then we can go out and pour love to each other, lock hands, and then we become the United States, how it should be.
I like that.
So that's how I look at it.
That's cool. That's cool. This hasn't been, it's not just now.
Right.
The difference, it didn't just start in the last 2 years or 3 years.
Right.
I remember, and I'm bringing this up for a reason, 40 years ago, there was a young man, just about 30 years ago, given my age there, there was a young man by the name of Michael Stewart. Michael Stewart was Andy Warhol's protege. Andy Warhol and Keith Haring were pop artists. Andy Warhol's a pop artist from the 60s. Keith Haring was his protege. Michael Stewart was a graffiti artist, and Andy Warhol and Keith Haring protege. And he was beaten to death by New York City police officers. And it started a whole fury because he was a talented, promising artist whose life was cut short. I remember moving forward from there, there was Eleanor Bumpers, which was an African-American woman in the Bronx who the police were charging through her door without her knowing what's going on. She has a knife in her hand coming towards whoever's breaking down her door, and she gets shot to death in her own home. I remember Amadou Diallo, who was an African immigrant in Harlem who was coming home from selling his goods on 125th Street, and he had his cart of goods, and they let loose. He was riddled with some 60, 70 bullets in his body. I remember, and I could keep going on. I could move it up to Eric Garner. I could move it up to Alton, and I could move it up to Philando. So that's my experience in these 40 years. I remember all of these people, and going back to Michael Stewart and Eleanor Bumpers, I remember there was a young woman in New York City who had a book called The Little Black Book, and I want you guys to go online because it's available for $2.39. She made it cheap so that you all can use it and you can keep it as a pocket handbook teaching African American males how to work with the police when engaging a police encounter. Real important. It's called The Little Black Book, and her name is Carol Taylor. You could go on Google her and research her, and you can actually purchase the book. I intend to buy a box of Little Black Books and keep them with me in my car like the Gideons do with the Bible. I'm going to start giving out the Little Black Book to African American males because it's a pocket book. It's only 29 pages in it, and you can read and see how you need to conduct yourself. I'm not saying that Alton and Philando conducted themselves incorrectly, but some of us do. We know we do. We know we do. So when engaging with people of authority, there's a protocol that you must follow, and follow it. So I want you guys to go online, look up The Little Black Book. Carol Taylor's the author.
Yeah, and that's right. It's a shame that we even have to talk like that, but that's just what it is. I always tell people it's about seeing the next day. It's about staying alive, because we're already at a disadvantage with African Americans in the homes, in the communities, African American males, in the homes, in the community. They're locked up in jail, dead, whatever.
Or just absent.
If we got to read a book, to survive another day, whatever we got to do.
And keep the book on you. I'm telling you, I'm going to be like the Gideons with giving out that book, and people are like, okay, I'm giving it to every black male that I know. Not kidding.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and I could go on and on about just how shady everything happened in Dallas with the cops, and just with the shooting and everything. But like I said, us as Africans, we need to learn self first and understand how to work from here. I told a friend of mine earlier, we are fighting two wars, basically, we're fighting two disadvantages. First and foremost, being black in America, and then after that, civilians and the disagreement and the misunderstanding with the government. Right now, to be a black man, you got to work your way up so we can participate in this global economy and really get things prospering for ourselves. And a lot of us are doing that. Business owners are really starting to push forward. I know in Palm Beach County alone, there's so many black businesses starting up, and I salute you guys. But just after that, globally, not globally, nationally, and as a citizen, we got to understand the laws of this country. We got to infiltrate the government. We got to get in there. We got to, like Jillian said, we have to start making ourselves present inside of the government. There's an election coming up in Palm Beach County. I urge you guys to really look into that. The judicial election. There's a police chief election coming up. So just a lot of things that are very, 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 very important to who you are as a citizen, And then on the flip side, like I said, doing your research and loving family, loving blackness all over, and just being prominent from there. So that's all I have to say.
Not much more to say behind that, guys. I'm Jillian Smart.
Okay,
and this is
CANEtv, man.
South Florida Weekly.
Peace.
Peace.
Cool.
Got a lot of stuff?
Huh?
Got a lot of stuff?
Yeah.
You didn't know about that,